There is a curve most people never see. It doesn't appear on the maps of reason or logic. It bends not in the body, but in the soul. And it was there, on that slow, silent curve, where he let her go. Not by shouting, not by slamming doors, but by forgetting to hold her in the silence between words. He didn't mean to, but most things that matter don't announce themselves with trumpets. They drift, like autumn leaves down a quiet street, one by one. She didn't leave. She waited for the moment he would notice the difference between her silence and her absence. But he was busy being a man the world told him to be. Strong, unaffected, purposeful. He didn't notice that the light in her eyes dimmed, not because of anger, but because she stopped dancing in his presence. He thought she was still there, still his, but something in her had already started packing. Not clothes, not books, but pieces of herself that no longer felt safe on his shelves. And so, when she finally walked away, it wasn't leaving. It was simply the last step of a journey he had unknowingly begun for her. We think love ends with words, with arguments, with some dramatic fracture, but most often, it ends in stillness, a gaze not returned, a gesture not remembered, a soul left echoing in a room where it used to be heard. He let her go by choosing noise over presence, control over curiosity, answers over wonder, and time over timelessness. There is a strange kind of loneliness that comes not when someone leaves, but when you realize you didn't notice them fading, that their laughter once filled the cracks in your silence, and now the silence is all that remains. It's not dramatic. It's not cruel. It's just slow. So slow you think nothing's wrong, until you wake up and realize you've been sleeping through someone's quiet goodbye. He thought she would always be there, because she was loyal, because she was soft, because she made coffee the way he liked it, because she stayed, even when her soul was already wandering. But loyalty is not eternal. It's tender, like the skin of old fruit, beautiful, but easily bruised. When forgotten, he didn't hurt her. He didn't cheat. He didn't yell. He simply wasn't there. When she unfolded her thoughts, he didn't see how often she turned her pain into poetry, only for it to sit unread in the corners of their shared life. She wanted to be seen, not with eyes, but with presence, to be held, not with arms, but with attention. But attention is the rarest form of love. And so he let her go, not in one moment, but in 1,000 missed ones, in the way he didn't ask why she was quiet that evening, in the way he didn't notice she no longer reached for his hand during thunderstorms. He let her go every time he mistook routine for intimacy, comfort for connection, proximity for love. Now, he sits alone, and the rain outside is no longer background noise. It's a reminder that everything soft eventually erodes when left outside too long, unattended, unloved. He wonders if she thinks of him, if she still walks by the place they met, if she, too, regrets that love can die, not from hatred, but from hunger. He wanted to believe she just left, that she grew cold, that she changed. But that's the convenient lie. The harder truth, she didn't leave. He just never held her soul tightly enough to notice when it slipped through his fingers. And that's the curve, isn't it? The one most men never see. They believe they are choosing strength when they are abandoning presence. They believe silence is peace, when it is often distance. They believe she's still there, because her body remains, but they never ask if her heart still feels safe. There is a curve, and once you're past it, you don't know how far you've gone until you try to turn back and see nothing familiar. The chair still creaks the same. The tea still tastes like her. But the soul you once ignored no longer sits in your morning. And in that silence, he finally heard her. The echo of all the things she never said, because she knew he wouldn't listen. Forgiveness came, not as a rush of relief, but as an old coat he finally learned to wear. It didn't warm him, but it kept him human. He forgave himself, not for letting her go, but for not knowing he was doing it. There is no redemption here, just realization, a quiet acceptance that love demands more than presence in name. It needs soul, attention, stillness. He learned, too late, that a woman does not leave when she steps out the door. She leaves when the silence in the room feels more like herself than his arms ever did. She didn't leave. She waited. She hoped. She loved in silence, until silence became her only companion. And he let her go, not with malice, but with forgetfulness, with distraction, with the kind of blindness that comes not from closed eyes, but from a closed heart. So now he sits by the fire, and the rain taps the window, like a memory that won't fade. He speaks not for pity, not for answers, but because the soul, even a lonely one, must speak what it once refused to hear. There is a curve most people never see, until it bends into the shape of someone you didn't know you already lost.